Have you ever wondered why some relationships stand tall like mighty ships, sailing through endless storms, while others sink even when the sea looks calm? A relationship is not just two people together. It is a vessel carrying trust, respect, and love across the unpredictable ocean of life. But here's the sobering truth. If the harbor of love becomes another storm, then the ship is no longer a refuge, it becomes a battlefield. Disrespect doesn't always arrive with thunder and lightning. It doesn't always scream in your face or break everything in one blow. More often, it sneaks in quietly, like a crack in the wood of a ship's hull, unseen but spreading, weakening the entire structure. A careless word here, a dismissive gesture there. At first, it feels small, but over time, it can sink even the strongest vessel. We all dream of enduring love, of bonds strong enough to face the storms of life. But the truth is this: when disrespect enters silently, it erodes that dream piece by piece. The good news? Stoic philosophy gives us a compass. It doesn't just teach us to survive storms, it teaches us how to rise above them with dignity, self-control, and clarity. And in this video, we will explore 10 timeless lessons from Stoicism to ensure you never allow disrespect to steer your life again. Imagine for a moment that your relationship is a resilient ship navigating the vast ocean of life. This vessel isn't just wooden sails. It is made of trust, love, patience, and mutual respect. At its best, the harbor of love should feel like a refuge, a place where you can anchor safely, heal your wounds, and find peace after the storms of the outside world. But sometimes the place that should be safe becomes another storm. And the tragedy is, it rarely happens all at once. Disrespect doesn't usually roar in like a hurricane, it drifts in like fog. At first, it's almost invisible. A sarcastic remark, a dismissive shrug, a promise broken and brushed aside. These seem small, but like water dripping into the hull of a ship, they accumulate. Slowly, silently, they erode the foundation of safety until one day you wake up feeling undervalued, unseen, and lost at sea. Often, we fail to recognize these subtle whispers of disrespect in our partner, in our friendships, and even in ourselves. We excuse them. We say it's just a joke, or it's not a big deal. But deep down we feel the sting. Over time, those little cracks widen. The vessel that once carried joy and hope now begins to leak with doubt and pain. This video is not about pointing fingers or assigning blame. Instead, it offers something much more powerful: a map. A map that illuminates the hidden corners of disrespect and gives us a way forward. A chance to steer toward calmer waters, where respect is not demanded by force, but cultivated through strength, wisdom, and compassion. And this is where Stoicism enters the picture. Far from being a cold philosophy, Stoicism offers a living, breathing guide for moments just like these. It teaches us how to maintain dignity without aggression, how to respond to disrespect without losing ourselves, and how to rebuild respect, not only with others, but within our own hearts. In this video, we will explore 10 timeless lessons from Stoic philosophy. These lessons will give you the tools to identify the most common signs of disrespect in relationships. They will guide you through real-life examples, showing you how disrespect can creep in unnoticed. And most importantly, they will reveal practical wisdom on how to heal, how to set boundaries with clarity, and how to rebuild when respect has been shaken. Because even the calmest, sunniest seas can suddenly shift. And when they do, it is not the size of the wave that determines survival. It is the strength of the captain, the resilience of the ship, and the clarity of the compass. Together, we will learn how to become captains who navigate with grace, leaders who endure storms without bitterness, and partners who strengthen the bonds that truly matter. So, my friend, I invite you, watch this video to the very end. Every lesson builds on the one before, shaping a path toward unshakable respect. And as you follow along, take a bold step of commitment. Write in the comments, "I accept the challenge." This is not just a comment, it's a declaration. A public choice to walk the journey of self-discovery, strength, and timeless wisdom through Stoicism. Lesson number 1. Compassion. The first lesson is compassion, but not the shallow compassion that stops at pity. In Stoic philosophy, compassion is far deeper. It is the ability to see the suffering of another person, to understand it, and then to respond not with weakness or indulgence, but with wisdom and action. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic thinkers, once said, Whenever you are about to find fault with someone, ask yourself the following question: what fault of mine most nearly resembles the one I am about to criticize? This question pierces our pride. It shifts our gaze inward before we cast judgment outward, and that humility is the seed of compassion. To cultivate compassion, the first step is to empathize with yourself. That means forgiving your own flaws, recognizing your own humanity, and being patient with your own growth. When you practice self-compassion, you make it easier to extend the same grace to others. The second step is to listen. Truly listen. Listening isn't just waiting for your turn to speak. It is opening your heart, suspending judgment, and giving someone your full attention. This kind of listening doesn't just solve problems. It heals. It tells the other person, you matter, you are heard. Finally, compassion must be put into action. It isn't enough to feel empathy. Stoicism calls us to live it. That might mean helping a stranger in need, taking time to sit with a friend in silence, or offering patience when a loved one is struggling. Even small acts, done daily, carry enormous power. At the heart of compassion lies forgiveness. Forgiveness is not simply about excusing another person's behavior. It is about liberating yourself from the chains of bitterness. Holding on to resentment is like carrying poison inside your own body. The Stoics remind us, by letting go, we free ourselves. We create space for joy, for respect, and for love to grow again. And the impact of practicing compassion is enormous. It transforms relationships, yes, but it also transforms you. It builds inner strength, resilience, and clarity. When you practice compassion, you no longer feel the need to demand respect. It flows naturally, because compassion creates an atmosphere where respect can breathe. We've just seen how compassion, when practiced with sincerity, doesn't only heal others but also transforms our own lives. Now, let's move one step further into another essential pillar of Stoic wisdom: right speech, the art of speaking truthfully, kindly, and wisely. Compassion opens the heart, but words reveal what's truly inside. Think about it. How many conflicts, broken friendships, or strained families have started not with actions but with words? A single careless sentence can pierce like a sword, yet a thoughtful word can mend wounds, restore trust, and build bridges. Right speech, the foundation of respect. At the very core of right speech lies truthfulness. Always telling the truth is the foundation of every sincere relationship. When we choose honesty, we are not just speaking facts, we are building trust. And trust, my friend, is the soil in which all respect grows. Picture yourself in an important meeting. The easy way out might be to cover up a mistake, to shift blame, or to hide the truth. But what happens when you humbly admit your error? Far from losing credibility, you gain respect. People value honesty, even when it reveals imperfection, because honesty carries responsibility, and responsibility inspires trust. But truth alone is not enough. Stoicism teaches us that kindness must accompany it. Harsh words, even when true, can destroy. Gentle words, on the other hand, can guide and heal. Imagine correcting someone. You could lash out with sharp criticism that leaves them wounded, or you could offer constructive feedback that empowers them to grow. Which one builds lasting respect? Which one would you prefer to hear yourself? The power of useful and healing words. Another layer of right speech is usefulness. Words that carry value, words that provide knowledge, guidance, or encouragement, remain with people long after conversations end. We've all had moments when someone's advice, spoken in the right moment, shifted our perspective and gave us strength to face challenges. These are not just words, they are seeds planted in the soul, bearing fruit for years to come. But right speech also reminds us of the power of silence. Conscious silence is not weakness. On the contrary, it is strength under control. Sometimes the wisest thing you can say is nothing at all. By choosing silence, you avoid unnecessary arguments, prevent misunderstandings, and demonstrate inner mastery. Silence can be more eloquent than words when it shows restraint, patience, and dignity. And finally, thinking before speaking. How often do we regret words spoken in haste? How often do they leave scars we never intended to create? The Stoics urge us to pause, reflect, and ask, will these words help, or will they harm? Jesus himself gave us the greatest measure: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. What if we applied this to every conversation? Before speaking, we would ask, would I want these words spoken to me? Applying Stoic speech in daily life. So how can you put these principles into practice? By telling the truth, even when it costs you. By speaking with kindness, even when it's easier to be harsh. By offering useful words, words that lift burdens and provide solutions. By choosing silence when words would only wound. By pausing to think before you speak, ensuring that your words carry respect. When you practice these, you will not only avoid disrespect, you will become a person others naturally trust, value, and respect. And those kinds of relationships are not fleeting. They are sustainable, deep, and precious. Now let me ask you, have you ever experienced the power of a kind word or the wisdom of well-timed silence? Has a moment of restraint saved you from unnecessary conflict? Share your story in the comments. I'd love to hear how Stoic wisdom has played out in your life. Transition to the next lesson. Mindfulness. Life often feels like a whirlwind of emotions, pulling us in every direction. In those moments, words alone are not enough. What we need is inner stillness, a way to stand firm when everything around us is in chaos. This brings us to the next lesson, mindfulness. In Stoic philosophy, mindfulness is not an abstract idea reserved for monks or scholars. It is a way of living, a discipline that strengthens both respect for oneself and control over one's life. When we are mindful, we are fully present. We are able to see clearly, assess calmly, and resist being swept away by anger, fear, or negativity. Think of Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoics, sitting quietly in a serene space. He would breathe deeply, reflect carefully, and bring his scattered thoughts back to the present moment. That practice, what we today call meditation, was not an escape. It was preparation. It was training the mind to observe emotions without being enslaved by them. Mindfulness, practiced daily, becomes a shield. It helps us rise above disrespect, stay grounded in the present, and preserve our peace no matter what storms rage around us. And that is where we will continue on this journey together. In the previous part, we discovered how mindfulness empowers us to remain calm, centered, and respected even in the middle of chaos. Now, let's go deeper into how mindfulness works in real life and why it is such a powerful shield in Stoic philosophy. Mindfulness, responding with wisdom, not impulse. The true strength of mindfulness lies in its ability to help us respond wisely rather than react impulsively. Have you noticed how quickly emotions rise when we feel attacked or disrespected? The heart beats faster, the mind races, and anger presses to burst forth. Yet mindfulness teaches us to pause, to breathe, and to regain clarity before speaking or acting. Picture this. You're in a team meeting and suddenly a colleague criticizes you for a mistake you didn't make. Instinctively, frustration rises. You want to snap back, defend yourself, prove them wrong. But instead, you take one deep breath. You steady your mind. Calmly, you say, "I understand your concern. However, this error was due to the system, and I'll work with the technical team to resolve it." In that single moment, you've not only protected your self-respect, you've shown composure, dignity, and wisdom. Rather than escalating conflict, you turn tension into an opportunity to display strength of character. That's the gift of mindfulness. It's not weakness, it's mastery. When practiced consistently, mindfulness improves mental health, strengthens self-control, and anchors us in peace. In Stoic philosophy, living mindfully is not optional. It's the very key to building a life of inner harmony and outward respect. A mindful person is not tossed around by emotional storms, but stands like a steady rock, grounded and unshaken. Forgiveness, the freedom of the soul. But mindfulness alone is not enough. There is another practice equally essential for protecting self-respect and living a life of freedom: forgiveness. Every one of us has experienced moments of hope followed by deep disappointment, trust broken, promises unkept, words that cut deeply. Betrayal and hurt have a way of carving wounds in the heart that don't easily fade with time. And yet, my friend, life is too vast and too precious to waste carrying the weight of resentment. Forgiveness is not forgetting, nor is it excusing the wrong. It is the noble decision of the wounded to release the power of the wound. It is choosing to heal instead of hate. When we forgive, we not only release the offender, we also free ourselves. We reclaim our time, our peace, and our joy. Think of it this way. Resentment is a chain, locking you to the past. Forgiveness is the key that breaks that chain, setting you free to walk into a future unburdened by anger. The strength to forgive. Choosing forgiveness doesn't mean we are weak. On the contrary, it proves our inner strength. Forgiveness requires reflection, courage, and wisdom. It allows us to look at the pain, learn from it, and transform it into growth. As Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, once said, "People are not disturbed by things but by the view they take of them." In other words, our suffering often comes not from the event itself, but from how tightly we cling to the wound. Forgiving others helps them recognize their wrongs. But even more importantly, it helps us rise above bitterness. And beyond forgiving others, Stoicism also teaches the importance of forgiving ourselves. Strangely, it is often harder to release our own mistakes than the mistakes of others. We replay our failures in our minds, punishing ourselves again and again. But true wisdom is knowing that every mistake is a teacher, and every failure a stepping stone. Self-forgiveness allows us to learn, to grow, and to move forward without being trapped in regret. It reminds us that perfection is not required, only progress. A living example, Nelson Mandela. Perhaps one of the most powerful illustrations of forgiveness is the story of Nelson Mandela. For 27 years he endured the harshness of imprisonment, robbed of freedom, separated from his family, stripped of dignity. And yet, when he was released, he chose not to let hatred define him. He forgave those who had oppressed him. That forgiveness did not make him smaller, it made him greater. It turned him into a leader who inspired millions, not through revenge, but through reconciliation. Mandela's story reminds us that forgiveness is not just a moral act, it is a force of liberation. It heals not only individuals but also nations. From the story of forgiveness, where Nelson Mandela's choice to release bitterness turned him into a global symbol of peace, we learn that letting go has the power to transform not only lives but entire nations. And now we arrive at another cornerstone of Stoic wisdom, non-attachment. The power of non-attachment. Have you ever wondered how to live in such a way that no one's disrespect could shake your sense of worth? The Stoics believe that one of the most effective ways is to practice non-attachment. This doesn't mean living carelessly or without passion. Instead, it means releasing the unhealthy grip we often place on outcomes, possessions, and even the approval of others. Think about it. How often do we pour our hearts into something, perhaps a project, a relationship, or a dream, only to feel crushed when the results don't meet our expectations? The disappointment eats away at us, leaving us vulnerable to criticism and disrespect. But the Stoic path is different. It says, focus on your effort, on what lies within your control, and let go of the outcome. Marcus Aurelius expressed this truth when he wrote, "The art of living is more like wrestling than dancing, insofar as it stands ready against the accidental and the unforeseen, and is not apt to fall." In other words, life is not a graceful performance where everything flows as planned. Life is a struggle, full of sudden moves, unexpected blows, and unplanned detours. To survive and thrive, you must stand steady, ready for whatever comes, without being enslaved by what you cannot control. When you practice this kind of detachment, even disrespectful remarks from others lose their sting. Their words may touch your ears, but they cannot wound your spirit. Why? Because your peace is no longer dependent on them. Letting go of material possessions. Another form of non-attachment lies in how we view possessions. The Stoics often reminded us that material wealth, while useful, should never become the master of our lives. Seneca, one of Rome's greatest Stoic philosophers, constantly urged simplicity, teaching that when we live lightly, without being bound to riches or status symbols, we are far freer. Think of it this way. A person burdened by too many possessions lives in constant fear of losing them. But the one who has trained their heart to live simply carries peace wherever they go. Their dignity and self-respect do not come from the clothes they wear, the car they drive, or the house they own, but from the strength of their character. And it is precisely this independence that earns respect from others. Freedom from the need for approval. Perhaps one of the most liberating aspects of non-attachment is freeing ourselves from the desperate need for approval. How many of our choices are made not because they are right or fulfilling, but because we want others to notice, admire, or accept us? The Stoic way challenges this dependency. When you no longer need applause to validate your worth, you become unshakably confident. You stop living for the shifting opinions of others, and start walking your own path with certainty. The more you let go of the need for external approval, the stronger and freer you become. The secret of contentment. Finally, Stoicism teaches that true happiness is not found in grand achievements or luxurious possessions, but in contentment with the simple things. Imagine the quiet joy of a shared meal with family, the peace of an evening walk, the beauty of a sunrise. These are the treasures of life that no one can take away. When you practice gratitude for what you already have, you radiate positive energy. People sense that you are not chasing, not desperate, not clinging, and this calm contentment naturally attracts respect. The Stoics believe that joy is not about having more, but about appreciating enough. By practicing contentment, you discover that your soul is full, and your life is already rich beyond measure. A life of unshakable peace. These lessons of non-attachment are not abstract theories. They are practical shields that protect us from disrespect and from the endless anxieties of comparison, desire, and disappointment. When you learn to release what is not truly important, you no longer get pulled into every storm. Instead, you live with serenity, anchored in what really matters. And so, my friend, we have just explored the wisdom of non-attachment, an essential principle of Stoic philosophy that lifts us above the noise of the world. By applying these truths, we can live lightly, peacefully, and with unshakable dignity. I want to sincerely thank you for journeying with us through the first half of this video. Your presence and your support are not just encouraging, they are the very motivation that drives us to continue sharing these timeless lessons of Stoicism. Now let us continue forward. In the next part, we will uncover another profound virtue, one that not only helps us recognize our own value, but also compels others to respect us deeply. Let's discover this practice together in the next section. Number 6. The beauty of humility. Humility is not weakness. It is not about thinking less of yourself. Rather, it is the quiet strength of recognizing your own limitations and imperfections. A humble person understands a profound truth. No one is perfect. Every human being, no matter how accomplished, carries flaws and shortcomings. By acknowledging this, we keep an open mind, always ready to learn from the wisdom of others. Humility also teaches us to recognize and appreciate the contributions of those around us. Think for a moment. How often do we pause to acknowledge the efforts of our colleagues, our friends, or even our family members? When we express genuine appreciation, we do more than just honor them. We create an environment of mutual respect. And here is the beauty. Respect, when given, is often returned. It forms a cycle, a positive feedback loop that strengthens bonds and fosters peace. Serving without expectation. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic teachers, advised us to serve and help others without expecting anything in return. True service enriches the soul. When we lend a hand, offer our time, or stand by someone in need, we grow in dignity and inner strength. This spirit of service does not only lift others, it elevates us as well, giving meaning and depth to our lives. In fact, humility is often most visible in acts of quiet service. The Stoics understood that greatness is not measured by how many people serve you, but by how many people you serve. Every time we choose to help someone, not for recognition but out of genuine care, we reflect one of the highest virtues of Stoicism. Sharing knowledge, growing together. Another way to embody humility is through sharing knowledge. Seneca once wrote, "While we teach, we learn." This simple statement holds a powerful truth. When we teach others, we are not positioning ourselves as superior. Instead, we are reinforcing our own understanding and opening ourselves to new perspectives. Think of the teacher who patiently explains a lesson, only to discover new insights through the questions of a student. Or the leader who shares wisdom with a team, but in return learns humility through the creativity and ideas of those around him. Sharing knowledge builds sustainable relationships based not on pride or hierarchy, but on mutual respect and growth. Collaboration through humility. Humility also shines most clearly in collaboration. When we truly believe that every person has unique value, we begin to listen more, to work together more effectively, and to build connections that matter. No one carries all the answers. By honoring the perspectives and talents of others, we create partnerships that lead to both personal growth and collective progress. It is in this humility, this willingness to recognize that others have something important to offer, that communities grow strong. Families are united, teams succeed, nations heal. Humility is not just a personal virtue, it is a bridge to a better world, the reward of humility. In the end, humility is not only a noble trait, it is also the foundation of true respect. When we live humbly, we do not need to demand honor from others. It comes naturally. People respect those who are kind, who listen, who uplift others, and who serve without boasting. Practicing humility, as the Stoics taught, allows us to live meaningfully, touching lives in ways that outlast our own. The strength of patience. And now, hand in hand with humility, comes another virtue equally powerful: patience. Patience is not simply waiting. It is the noble art of enduring. We all set goals, we all make plans, but the truth is, few of us have the discipline to pursue them with unwavering patience. And that, my friend, is the difference between those who succeed and those who give up too soon. In Stoic philosophy, patience is revered as one of humanity's highest virtues. It is the foundation upon which we accept challenges, transform failures into lessons, and face difficulties without breaking. Patience is not passive, it is active strength. It is what keeps us calm when storms rage around us. Imagine Philip, insulted by a colleague during a meeting. His heart beats faster, anger rises, and yet he does not explode. He takes a breath, he observes, he waits. Later, in private, he speaks calmly to that colleague, seeking understanding rather than revenge. In doing so, Philip not only eases the tension, but also builds a stronger relationship. His patience transforms a moment of conflict into an opportunity for growth. Patience helps us forgive more easily, understand more deeply, and expand our capacity for love. It builds bridges where anger would only create walls. And in the end, patience, just like humility, is not weakness. It is the quiet, enduring strength that allows us to live with dignity, wisdom, and peace. The strength of patience is not just about waiting, it is about living with calmness and dignity in the face of life's storms. Patience makes us stronger and more resilient. It allows us to endure hardships without losing our sense of direction. Developing this virtue is not simply a long journey, it is an art of living. When we learn patience, we discover peace and confidence in every situation. Patience also gives us mastery over our emotions. Instead of being carried away by anger, frustration, or thoughtless reactions, we remain steady, thoughtful, and composed. This self-control earns us the respect of others, for people admire those who can stay calm where others would lose control. If you have ever recognized the value of patience in your daily life and how Stoic philosophy empowers you to face challenges, I encourage you to reflect and share your story. Your experience may inspire someone else who is walking the same path. The hidden power of kindness. But let us now consider another profound virtue, one that often goes unnoticed but holds extraordinary power: kindness. Have you ever wondered why some people are consistently respected and loved, while others face rejection or disrespect? The answer often lies not in wealth, status, or appearance, but in kindness. Kindness is more than a noble virtue. It is the foundation for building relationships that last. Stoic philosophy teaches us that kindness is not simply an outward action, it is a way of life. True kindness flows from the heart. It is revealed not just in grand gestures, but in small, everyday acts: a gentle smile, a word of encouragement, a patient ear. These small deeds may seem insignificant, but they ripple outward, creating a positive impact that transforms the world around us. And yet, kindness is not only directed outward. Compassion toward oneself is equally vital. Too often, we carry the heavy burden of self-blame, regret, and past mistakes. But when we practice kindness toward ourselves, when we forgive our failures, respect our limits, and care for our well-being, we find freedom. We release the chains of guilt and discover peace within. Self-kindness restores our strength and allows us to love others more fully. Epictetus and Seneca both reminded us that kindness enriches not only those who receive it, but also those who give it. When we extend kindness, we create a better version of ourselves, more patient, more courageous, more resilient. In this sense, kindness is not weakness. It is strength wrapped in gentleness. Kindness transforms the soul. When we spread kindness, we change more than the lives of those we touch. We change our own. We become stronger, more admirable, more at peace. A kind person naturally attracts respect, for people recognize sincerity when they see it. Kindness has the power to heal wounds, mend broken relationships, and bring light into the darkest situations. Think about it. A kind word at the right time can stop an argument. A compassionate gesture can lift someone from despair. Even a smile to a stranger can turn a difficult day into one of hope. That is the hidden power of kindness, the path toward gratitude. But Stoic philosophy does not stop with patience and kindness. It calls us to embrace yet another transformative virtue, gratitude. Gratitude is the art of recognizing and cherishing the blessings of life, whether they are the help of a friend, the love of family, or the quiet joys of daily living. To live with gratitude is to awaken to the richness of the present moment. A simple yet powerful practice is keeping a gratitude journal. Each day, write down at least 3 things you are thankful for. They do not have to be grand. Sometimes it is the smile of a child, the warmth of the sun, or the kindness of a friend. Over time, this practice shapes your heart, teaching you to see beauty in what others overlook. And gratitude is not only a feeling, it is also an expression. Saying thank you, whether for a small favor or a great gift, strengthens bonds and spreads joy. The Stoics remind us that when we express gratitude, we honor not only the giver, but also the moment itself. In this way, patience teaches us endurance, kindness teaches us compassion, and gratitude teaches us appreciation. Together, these virtues form a triad of strength that can transform the way we live and the way we are remembered. Gratitude is not just an emotion. It is a way of living that transforms the heart. Every act of gratitude not only makes the recipient feel valued, but also spreads a quiet yet powerful energy to those around us. A simple thank you, a moment of recognition, or even the silent appreciation of life's blessings can lift spirits and create ripples of joy. One of the most important aspects of gratitude is learning to focus on the present. Too often, we carry the heavy weight of regret from the past or anxiety about the future. But true gratitude calls us to live fully in the moment, to see, to feel, and to honor the blessings right in front of us. Whether it is a warm meal, a friend's encouragement, or even the breath in your lungs, gratitude transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. The Stoics also remind us that gratitude can be expressed through mindful consumption, buying only what is truly needed, valuing what we already have, and treating each possession with respect. This is not about deprivation, it is about learning contentment. Gratitude is not about how much we hold in our hands, but how deeply we cherish what is already there. And the benefits of gratitude go far beyond the spirit. They reach into the body and the mind. Gratitude reduces stress, strengthens mental health, and creates a happier life. As Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once said, "You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly." A life of gratitude is a life lived properly, with peace, dignity, and fullness. For believers, gratitude draws us closer to God, the source of all light and love. Every blessing, big or small, comes from Him. When we are grateful, we acknowledge His hand in our lives. Gratitude turns our hearts upward, allowing us to see that all good things are gifts, not accidents. And in this realization, we find not only peace with others, but peace within our very souls. The call to self-reflection, closely tied to gratitude, is another virtue of Stoic philosophy: self-reflection. While gratitude looks outward and upward, self-reflection turns us inward. It is one of the most valuable lessons the Stoics left for us, a daily practice that helps us grow, remain honest, and gain the respect of others. Self-reflection is not merely an intellectual exercise, it is also a spiritual journey. It connects us with our deepest selves, and in many ways it connects us with God. Marcus Aurelius, in his famous Meditations, advised, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, 'The people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly.'" These words may sound harsh, but they remind us to prepare our hearts with humility and honesty before stepping into the world. Through regular reflection, we begin to see ourselves more clearly. We recognize our faults, acknowledge our strengths, and take responsibility for our actions. This transparency with ourselves naturally creates respect from others, because people trust those who are willing to look inward and grow. There are many ways to practice self-reflection. One of the most powerful is journaling. Each evening, take a few minutes to write down the events of your day, your emotions, and your reactions. This practice helps you step back and evaluate. Did I act with patience? Did I respond with kindness? Did I live according to my values? Another powerful method is meditation. In silence, our minds are purified. We see thoughts and emotions that usually hide beneath the surface. For those of faith, prayer becomes an intimate form of reflection, a way to seek God's guidance, clarity, and peace. Whether through writing, silence, or prayer, self-reflection becomes a lamp for our spiritual path. This journey has no end. It is something we must undertake daily. But with each step, we become more humble, more compassionate, more aware of who we are and who we are becoming. And only when we truly know ourselves can we command genuine respect from others. The final lesson. And so, dear friend, we have walked through 10 Stoic lessons. Timeless teachings that protect us from disrespect and guide us toward a meaningful life. From mindfulness and compassion to forgiveness and kindness, from patience and humility to gratitude and self-reflection, each lesson is a cornerstone of dignity and peace. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus left behind these treasures not just for philosophers, but for all of us, here and now. And you have the opportunity to apply them in your daily life. So let me ask you, which lesson spoke to you most deeply today? Was it patience, kindness, gratitude, or perhaps self-reflection? Share your answer in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If this video has brought value to you, I invite you to support our journey. Like this video, share it with your friends and family, and subscribe to the channel, The Stoic Art of Living. Your support is a great encouragement, helping us continue to bring you content that strengthens your mind, enriches your spirit, and equips you to live a Stoic life in today's modern world. And don't forget, at the end of this video we've linked the next lessons in this series. Keep watching and don't miss the unfolding journey of Stoic wisdom. Thank you for being here. Until next time, live with patience, act with kindness, reflect with honesty, and above all, walk with gratitude.